What is up, everybody? It is Monday Motivation. And tonight I got my girl Tiffany with me. We are going to be talking about flea markets and what we look for when we go to shop in them. And when we also do our own booth, because we both started that earlier this year. So come on in and say hello. First off, we have the beaded chick with us. Hey, Rita. How are you, girly? I called you earlier, and then I had to get busy with work. How boring. Demetrius is with us. Hey, buddy. Did you get it? Did you get the mail? Did you get the good? I don't know why it said what it said. And what you saw is what I saw. So no big deal. But let me know. Did you get it? All right, we'll wait for a few more people to come on in. Like I said, we are going to talk about flea markets tonight. And then tomorrow night, we'll be on my channel. We'll do anything auction. And then Wednesday night, we'll be on Tiffany's channel. And I believe we're going to do jewelry Wednesday night.
Don't ask me.
Well, we got clothing down. I don't think we're doing clothing.
No, jewelry. Yeah, you're right. It is jewelry.
That's what I thought. All right. Oh, got you, Demetrius. I don't know what mine does that sometimes. So it'll probably be tomorrow then, because my mail doesn't deliver that late. Some places does, but you know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we'll go ahead and get started, get into this. If you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Pamela, aka Scooter Renee. I've been a reseller for 6 years. I hope you'll keep coming back. Welcome to my channel. With me tonight, as always, well, most times, I have my trusty BFF sidekick with me, my favorite person to work with, Tiffany with Tiffany's Cool Fun, and she has also been reselling about the same time frame as me. So make sure y'all say hello to Tiffany as well.
What's up, guys?
And let's welcome our OGs in the house. You know who you are. You've been with us from the very start 2 years ago. And we cannot forget our playback peeps. So even if you're watching this later, welcome. I'm so glad you support us, even live or when you watch the playback. So thank you for coming in. Demetrius, then that probably tomorrow then. So
hey, Picky.
So fast. We got Picky Nikki in the house. Hey, Picky.
What's up, girl?
All right. As you know, I try to keep this show to about 45 minutes to an hour, so that's what we'll be. But make sure you do all the YouTube things, such as hit the subscribe button for us both. If you haven't already, hit the thumbs up. And make sure you also ring the bell on both of our channels so you can be notified every time we go live or when we upload a new video. Tonight, as I said a couple times before, we'll be discussing flea markets. Anything from what we look for when we shop to how we run our flea market booths, what sells, ideas, what we do, and so forth. Let's see, I'll see if we had anybody else new popping in. Okay. Make sure if you have any questions that you put them in the chat or any comments, and we'll be answering those throughout the night as well. So questions or comments, make sure you do both. And then at the end, we always have Q&A. So if you want to wait till the end, that's fine as well. Since I already recognized everybody, we have positive spot thought. So since we're talking flea markets tonight, I thought this was appropriate. I found this. It says, may the road to the flea market rise up to meet you. May you never leave a good vintage find behind. May the sun shine warm upon you while junking. May your car be loaded down with roadside finds. And until we meet again, may God hold you in his hand as you go looking for rust gold. And then I have one more thought. It doesn't matter how strong your opinions are. If you don't use your power for positive change, you're indeed part of the problem. So I thought that was kind of a neat thought as well. So we got Cheyenne in the house. Hey, Cheyenne.
Hey, Cheyenne.
Welcome in. All right. Thank you, Demetrius. Appreciate you, bud. So that was our positive spot thought. Tonight is going to be divided into two parts because I wanted to make sure I thought of everybody that's coming in. So whether you are interested in getting a booth started, or if you just like to shop flea markets or want to get into shopping at flea markets, I thought we would do it that way. Part one will be about what to look for from buying items to cleanliness to deals, etc. And then part two, we will actually get into how to get started with renting a booth, a shelf, a case, or whatever it is that you want to rent, and what to look for, what to sell, set up, etc. Sound good?
Let's do this.
The first part, when I go to a flea market, this is what I prefer. This is my opinion. I don't like seeing booths that are junked up and you can't even walk or grab something that interests you. Stuff that's way up high for me, I can't get to unless Robert's with me. And if I can't even step into the booth, it doesn't matter anyway. So it doesn't matter how bad I want that item. Like, it's got to be pretty stinking important if I really want it that bad. Usually I'll just turn around and walk right back out. And you could possibly find a treasure and all that junk buried in there, but I'm just not a digger for the most part, and I'm just turned off instantly. Tiffany, what do you think, or what is it that when you go to the booth, what is it that you're looking?
I kind of like it when it has like a bunch of stuff, like when it's more cluttered. I mean, I want to be able to walk in there, but I wonder if I can find a picture of it. But I like it more cluttered. I think it looks cool to me. Not like dirty cluttered, but like when you have all the stuff set up the right way and it's, you get a bunch of it. I think it looks really good.
Well, yeah, and that when it's, like you said, when it's set up the right way, that the person can still see everything that they want to look at, but without it being like hidden, is my thing.
Like, I wonder if you guys could, like, here's someone's booth. There's a bunch of stuff in it.
Let me blow you up.
There's someone's booth that has a bunch of stuff in it. That's booth number 4 over there. I'm 845. That's not mine. But there's a ton of stuff.
But look at the floor. You can walk in there.
You can walk in it, and then see, this one's similar to mine. I have my shelves, and they're loaded up. I know you can't really see it that good. And then here's this one. This one has a bunch of stuff on the floor, but the way they did it, it looks really good. I know, again, there we go. It looks really good the way they did it.
Right. Yeah, at least give me some space to walk in there. There's one that I go to that there's just so much stuff, like you can't even walk in or nothing. Like you can maybe take one step in, that's about it. So I don't know, that's just what I prefer. I also want to be able to walk in a booth or be drawn into the booth by aesthetics of the booth. So, if you decorate it up, not everybody will decorate their booths up, but if it's kind of got like a little theme to or whatever, that draws me in. I don't know if Tiffany's more worried about that or not. And then I'm always looking for deals, rather items are more cheap, which that varies for different people. What Tiffany might pay for one item, I might pay less than or more for. So it just depends on what your preference is for that. Or if I see a sign that says there is a sale, I'll mostly shop in that booth because I like a deal. So because I'm a reseller and I want a deal, I want to be able to make some sort of profit depending on what that item is. Tiffany, what about you?
Some people, like at my antique mall, they just have killer prices. Like they price it to go really, really fast. And then some people have them higher, and then they have the 20-25% off and such. But I'm more drawn to if I see. I'm not the person that really looks at deals. Like, I buy what interests me. Like, I walking around and like, okay, that popped out to me. That looks really cool. But I always buy like action figures, graphics, shirts, stuff like that. That just really interests me more than like glass and all that stuff. So if I see a booth like the one next to me has like a bunch of linen and stuff, and I'm just to me, I'm like, I've never even walked into it. I just keep on going. It doesn't bother me.
Exactly. Cheyenne said, "Good junk clutter." Yes. That's a perfect way to describe that. Yes. And then I usually like to shop for very unique or vintage items. I love my trinket boxes. I love anything Navajo, Southwest. I like the jewelry, but mostly I want something that's unique that you're just not going to be able to find anywhere. And stuff that you can find here in Arkansas, you might not be able to find in Montana or Georgia or any of those, different states, and vice versa. So I want to bring y'all stuff that you're just not going to just go out and find so easily. So what about you, Tiffany? What do you usually like to shop for? I know you said graphic tees and
When I go to, I don't know, I stick to what I know a lot, and then there are some things that I look at and I'm like, okay, I know that's worth some money, and I'll it takes me a while sometimes. I'll be shopping and I'm like, oh crap, now I gotta sit here and Google it, you know. So I do end up buying a ton of stuff that I have no idea anything about. I just know that it's worth more than what I'm buying it for. So that's why sometimes I'll bring stuff up to auction and I'm like, here's this thing.
right.
And here's my start price, or I'll buy stuff at yard sales or the thrift store or my online shopping, and then I bring it to the booth, and my description on my tag might not be right, but I did look it up, you know. So I don't know, I always end up finding those things that I know nothing about, and I'll never know, I don't really care to know, but I just know I want to make money off of it. So
And Robert's the one that got me to finally download the Google app. I couldn't figure out for the longest how I could take a picture of something and be able to research it that way, real quick.
mhm.
And he's like, why don't you download the Google app? I'm like, because I wasn't thinking about that. And now, if I'm at an estate sale or whatever, I can just take a picture real quick and it'll pop up in the search of Google everything, that's related to that item or, pretty close. Sometimes nothing will pop up. It just depends on what the item is.
It'll give you an idea if it's going to be a $5 item or a $90 item at least.
Right,
Mhm.
right. And a lot of your selling platforms are starting to really use Google more intensely as part of their algorithm. I know Poshmark, I just attended a thing with it yesterday or the other day for a conference call, and their search engines are geared towards Google. So when people Google an item, because that's what I do, I Google everything. And so they're making sure that everything is being driven there. So then people are directed to your Poshmark page or whatever. So
Mhm.
let's see. So, how do you get started in a booth? So, we're going to move on to that. Part one was pretty quick. And if you want to tell us what you like to shop for in chat, go right ahead. We can talk about what y'all like to shop for too. I always am curious to see what people
Mhm.
like. As you see, Tiffany and I, we're different in what we like to shop for and stuff. And I think that's why we work so well together. There's a few things that we have similar tastes on, and both will bring whenever we do the auctions, but for the most part, especially on the anything auctions, we're pretty different. So
Very.
you're definitely going to get a variety.
Mhm.
So getting started with the booth, I personally started with a shelf first, and that was like 25 a month, and that only lasted for a month because then the booth came available, and so then I did the booth, and then just recently, last month, I added a case as well. So my shelf and my case are downstairs, and that way I can get more noticeable items shown and stuff. And then my booth is upstairs. So I personally picked mine due to the location. It is only 3 minutes from my house at most. My brother has one that he does, and it's 45 minutes away. And I know me. I don't like having to drive that far to be able to really. I don't like being able to drive that, or not. I can't talk. I don't like having to drive that far
Right.
to be able to really be involved with doing things on a booth, because you've got to be involved in it. Otherwise, it's not going to really go anywhere. Also, I like the layout of this place. I love the cleanliness of it. And then when I spoke with the owner, I really, really like her. And I have different friends that are vendors there that I wouldn't have ever had. So
Mhm.
Tiffany, when you picked out your booth, what were you primarily thinking about?
Well, I had thought about doing a booth for a long time, and one night it was like 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, man, I'm gonna look into it for real this time. And I was googling it, and I came across yesteryear's antique mall, and they actually just put out a Facebook ad a few days ago that when I was looking, and it said we just extended the downstairs, we opened it up, we're looking for 20 new vendors, and I'm like, well, no shit. So here we go. That I didn't even look any further. I contacted the dude, and then the next morning I went down to talk to him, and as soon as I walked through the door, it was like breathtaking. Like it's beautiful. I keep on saying I'm gonna do a video of it. I never do, but it's so nice in there. And I took it. So I took one of the basement booths, and that's how I got started.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, about how far is it from your house, would you say?
About 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, see, I think that's still doable. I've looked at another location because I thought I might want to expand eventually, my location wise. And I looked at a place in Conway, and that's about 30 minutes from me. But at the same time, again, it's like, but it's nothing like compared to 3 minutes.
Right.
And then Robert works just like a minute or two from our house. He's here between our house and the booth. So if I need anything done or whatever, he's right there and he's able to go. So location had a lot to play in with mine. So there is another location that I might be looking at just because it's in a very high traffic area. And so I'm thinking about doing that one because I'm figuring, well, that will probably get even more people to look at my stuff and sell more that way. So some things to keep in mind after you pick your location, regardless if it's a booth, a shelf, a case, or you're doing all three or whatever, is to pick a location inside. So on these factors, if you can, I know some of these won't work because some people are like, I just have this booth. This is what you'll have to take if you want to get started immediately. Otherwise, you need to put on a waiting list and hope that you'll get one that's close to the front of the store or downstairs or whatever. So the very first thing, and this was kind of my thing that I thought about the place up in Conway, was the traffic flow. As in, how often are people going to be stopping by? How often are people going to be walking by your area where it's located inside the flea market? There are some big flea markets that I go to shop at, and sometimes I don't get to everything because of how big it is. So there's one in Benton, and like I can do the whole front half of the store, and I might make it halfway through the back of the store, but then I'm tired. I'm done, especially if I have already been to other flea markets places. So the next time I will start in the back when I go back there, but who knows when that might be. So me personally, I would want to be as close to the front as I can be. Tiffany, what about your thoughts on that?
Well, most of the time, this is what you're going to get. That's what they give you because that's all there's available.
Right.
Like here, there's a waiting list. Everyone wants to get one, and then generally, once you've already had your booth, let's say they start you downstairs or upstairs, whatever the case might be, and a spot opens up and they think you're doing well enough, they'll offer you a better spot. But for me, I got one downstairs when I first opened. I hate it. I'm not going to lie. I don't like it. I don't make much money out of that booth, but I'm going to keep it because he saw how determined I was. I was there every day. I don't go every day anymore, but that's because I'm stocked up. I would go like maybe 2-3 times a week now instead. But a nice big booth opened up on the main floor, and he's like, "Hey, you want it?" I'm like, "Yeah." So now I got 2 booths. So, but definitely like main floor or closer to the front is definitely the best you can get.
Yeah. So even if you can't at the time being get to the close, get started somewhere. And that way, because they're going to offer it to all you people. So like my booth is upstairs. And so when one downstairs comes available, they will offer it to anyone upstairs first before they go outside of our group. And so that really helps if you're already kind of committed and, you're already invested in them. So,
Hey, Lori.
Who's here? Lori. Hey, Lori. Welcome in, girl. So, you want to also be able to display your best pieces to the front in order to draw people in, no matter. So, if you are upstairs or if you're downstairs, whatever, you want to display your best pieces to the front to draw in the people into your booth. And if you have a case only or whatever, then place your best interesting items there. Tiffany, your thoughts on that?
I'll be honest, I don't have no rhyme or reason. I put it where it fits. But I make sure in my booth I have some items that are only $3.95. I have my Hot Wheels. I got some little mystery figures. And I got little bread and butter items, so that way with people that don't have much money, or if they bring a kid, because I know when I bring Daniel and he wants a toy, to get them to be happy, buy the damn toy. So I sell all kinds of $3.95 items. And then I have my more expensive pieces that, go 25, 30, 50, 60, up to, I think my most expensive piece is like $200 at the moment. But so I try to have a range of items, but there's no rhyme or reason for what I do. I just, as long as it looks good to my eye, I don't care what you see first. That's me.
There you go. And again, it just shows you that, everybody can have different ways of doing things. Hey, Mike, we are talking about flea market, shopping at flea markets. And if you want to start a booth, what we've done and, ideas about that as well. So, here's number 3. Again, I'm still big about keep out the clutter. Like if you can't organize it, keep it organized, where I'm not tripping over something or having to step on stuff to get to other stuff. Keep that clutter out. I personally, for my booth, I want people to be able to walk in and walk around my booth so they can see everything and they can be able to reach or be able to touch everything. Because some people, I'm a touchy person, so Robert gets tickled whenever we go to like a clothing store and I got to touch every shirt because I want to know what that fabric feels like and everything. And so I think it's important to let people feel that, and if it speaks to them to buy it, then they're going to be more out to buy that. So we did fleas for 10 years, loved it. We had our own for 2 summers.
Nice.
Are you talking about fleas or are you talking about booths? So, and I think Tiff has already said what she thought about clutter booths. But I think you still have the same thought process as far as you want to be able to at least get in an adventure and see what it is that they have. So, use varying heights. You want to draw attention to where your customers are having to look everywhere, up and down and so forth. So that way they're just drawn into looking at everything you have in your booth. I don't know. I do some varying heights. For me, I'm so short. The only way I can do varying heights is if I have Robert with me to do it. Tiffany, do you use that at all, or?
Not really. All my shelves are generally the same height. I do have a few shelves that are maybe a few inches taller. Then I have my table pieces that I put stuff on too. That when they sell, the owner or whoever's working that day will take the stuff off the table and put it on a shelf nearby or on the floor. That when I go in next time I rearrange it. But no, not really. I got pretty much all the same shelvings, all the same heights.
Gotcha. So Mike said, Mr. Pick and Flea Market. Love it. M for Mike, R for Regina, my lady. Oh, love it. So number 5, you want to consider the products that you're selling. Is everyone else selling the same item? Because then you might have to take less than you want to just because the item is so saturated in your flea market location. Is your item interesting to draw attention and everything, or is it just same old, same old? Pricing as well of your products, as to get that attention for that product as well. Tiff, do you have certain different items that no one else has in their booth, in your booth?
I'm really there's a other couple of people that sell jewelry. They only have a few pieces though. I have 2 jewelry cases and they're loaded with sterling silver. So that puts me apart. I sell rings and necklaces all day, every day there. And then there's only one new guy that sells figures like I do. But mainly it's just him and I that we have the Funko Pops and the carded figures. A lot of other people really have like the antique, like old barn finds, and that I have less of because I probably walk by good deals all day long. But to me, in my eyes, I'm like, that's junk, But now I'm starting to learn to look them up at least and to pay attention. But yeah, I think I'm the only one that really sells a whole lot of jewelry and a whole lot of figures, and I got a big rack of graphic tees. And as long as it's collectible or antique and vintage, it's okay. But they like to see more vintage stuff, so I make sure that my figures are mostly in the 90s or early 2000s, or if I can get 80s and 70s, and sweet. But yeah, I do stick out a little bit.
Yeah, because I forget that yours is a little bit more picky on that you can't really have anything that's kind of new.
Right.
Right.
Unless it's you can, You can. I think they kind of they're letting me and the other guy do it because most of the other ones there are what's the word, veterans, and they're older folks. So they I don't know, they have all the older stuff there, but they're finding that having the newer stuff is bringing in the younger crowd.
Okay, they're starting to change their mind then.
Hmm.
We got Patsy here. Hey, Patsy.
Hey, hey.
Yeah, in my booth, I can sell whatever. It can be vintage, it can be brand new, and the package just came out this year. Doesn't necessarily have to be vintage on everything. But I do know there are some places that are that way, that they just want vintage stuff. That's what they advertise themselves as, and so that's what they expect. So, let's see. Lori Hay says, "Are your rents in a antique booth expensive month to month?" I really don't think mine is that expensive.
Mm-mm.
For mine, I have like a 10 by 10, I believe, 10 by 9, something like that. That costs me $175 a month. And then I have a case and a shelf. So all together, all three things, I pay about $275-ish. So the bulk of that is my booth.
Mm-hmm.
Another place I went to, that one in Conway I was telling you about, they were paying by per square foot, and that drives me nuts. Because then I got to sit there and do all that damn math. It's like, no, tell me I got a 10 by 10 for this or 10 by 8 for that.
Okay.
I don't have to figure out what $225 per square foot for however big of a booth I want to figure out. And I think that would end up costing me more than what I'm paying now. So, Tiffany, does yours? I don't think yours runs real high either.
I think mine are really reasonable. I got 2 cases and 2 booths because when I do something, I go all out. so I pay $625 a month in rent for the 4 areas, but I'm just starting out and I don't have the highest dollar items. Um, I've been averaging about $1,500 a month. Then of course take out the rent, so I've been kind of like doubling my rent. So hopefully I can triple it here soon. But I don't think it's that bad. So if you was to only have one, it'd be like $150.
Right.
I don't think that's bad at all.
No, I don't think it is either. And especially to have that much room to display so much more stuff and reach out to that much more people as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we got Sandy Kirk in the house. Hey, Sandy, welcome in.
Hey, Sandy.
And Cool Ranch is here.
What's up, girl?
All right. So, you also want to keep it well stocked. You never want to have bare minimum of items in your booth because it's going to look like you're going out of business and you don't have much to draw them in. Now, there are some people that have, like my brother's booth, it's nothing but furniture. So his might look a little bit more slimmed down, but it's full from wall to wall, front to back of, furniture for people to buy. And he does very well with that. I don't have any interest in furniture, but if I had a downstairs booth, I probably would. But you want to make sure it's well stocked and everything, because otherwise it's not going to draw the people in to come and look. They're just going to walk right on by, because I know I do that. Move things around often to make it look like you got new items in your booth. So that's how you can do that without actually having to go out and buy more stuff. You can just move that stuff around. Or if you want to, if you have an item in one location and it hasn't gotten any attention, move it to a different location. And I promise you that definitely worked, because Robert and I will go up there and do that all the time. And next thing I know, that item has sold because of where I put it. So, Tiffany, what do you do on yours?
I'm always moving stuff around. Every time I go there, if I see that something's been sitting there and no one's touching it, I'll bring it down to my downstairs booth, or I'll put it on a different shelf or a different level. Maybe if it's high, I'll put it low. But yeah, I'm always moving some stuff around. And to touch base on Mike's, we also had a 3% commission at the antique mall. Mine is 10%. So whatever I sell, they take 10% off.
Yeah, and mine is 7%. So, you'll find different things everywhere. So, Lori Hay says, is there anything that you feel that you can't sell in an antique booth? Why can you sell health and beauty items, or not really, since they're not really antiques?
I got some vintage. I think it's like Northwoods Country, some men's cologne and aftershave, and it's in a really nice box. I think that's like from the 80s or something. So I do have that at the booth. But no, generally you don't really see that. Like you see people like there's some giant cologne bottles that someone has, and those are definitely old, but they don't see anything new like that over where I'm at anyway.
And then, like in mine, I can sell health and beauty items if I wanted to. So any makeup or soaps, whatever, I could put that in there. I have other vendors in that area that they put actually brand new perfume and cologne in there. They're all in special cases, so you got to get the key thing to be able to get them and so forth. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then Cool Ranch. Can you only sell antiques at your booth? Mine, I can pretty much sell everything. It doesn't really have, you know, they don't really prefer one thing over another. I think Tiffany started out that way where they wanted just a vintage antique
Mm-hmm.
stuff, right?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
now, as long as it's it has to be antique or vintage, and then it has to be collectible. So if it's going to be newer, if it's going to be from 2021, 2022, it has to be uh, a collectible like an action figure or something. You can't just put like
Look, well,
a brand new I don't even know any brands of dress clothes, but something from JCPenney that's just dressy, that's brand new. You can't just put that there, but it has to be collectible. So I put a lot of graphic tees there, for instance, because mine are all Marvel, DC, stuff like that. Just an example.
and then number 7, use signage. Market yourself. Have a name for your booth. That way someone can go in and say, hey, I want to see Scooter Renee's items. Or I want to see Tiffany Cool Fine. Also, the signage to direct people to other areas you might have. So, like on my case and my shelf downstairs, I have a sign that says, make sure you check out my booth number 304 upstairs. And then upstairs, I have signs up there that says, make sure you check out my shelf number 160 and my case downstairs. I
Mm-hmm.
also have, oh, good gosh, fella. Woo! I also have arrows decorated with booth 304 at the bottom of each staircases. So there's 2 staircases that go up to my booth. So I have a arrow pointing up that has my booth and the number on it. So also signage for when you're having a sale, draw the people in. So if you're having 25% off, or if you're discounting heavily, or whatever it may be, make sure you put a sign up to draw those people in to look at your items and see what things you have marked down.
Mm-hmm.
Tiffany, you have signage in yours, right?
I took them down because I rearranged and I couldn't figure out a spot. I got to go back with Jose and hang up. I got my signs over there in the back. I got to go put them up in my booth. But I do have my business cards that same color and everything, except it has more information. It has my links to my eBay and Poshmark and my email and stuff like that. But I do have my business cards on every booth in case.
Right. So Lori Hayes said 10% is kind of like eBay fees, but at least no ridiculous feedback.
Pretty much.
I think Tiffany would agree with that.
Yep.
All right. You also want to make sure you use props and lighting. You don't have to, but in my booth, I have those beautiful waterfall ruffle curtains that are rose gold in color. So I decided that was going to be my colors theme for my booth. Um, so I have those hanging from the rafters, and then on the main focal point wall, whenever you walk in, that's the first thing you see. And then I have around the rafters, I have LED lighting wrapped around it. So it has a real nice, warm, cozy feeling when you walk in. I have a couple of lamps that are plugged in as well, mainly to show that they work. But they are, like I have a Tiffany lamp, and then a nice, real pretty antique lamp, and a couple of others like that. But it's just warm and welcoming. It makes you want to come in and just look.
Mm-hmm.
I also have these rugs that are kind of like I think they kind of call like the streamers. They call them riff-raff materials. So if you know what I'm talking about on that, that's what these rugs are. And again, they got a mixture of rose gold and tans and creams. So that's what I use to draw people in. Those items are obviously not for sale, and I make sure I put on there for display only. And then I have like a mirror set up, but I'm about to change it. of how I have a table. I'm gonna put a shelf that's got 3 columns because I want to be able to have my people be able to walk in and have more room to walk around the ladder shelf that I have in the center. That way they're not bumping into it because I bump in my junk in the trunk is always hitting that daggone shelf. So I want to make sure there's room. So Tiffany, is there anything special that you do with yours? I know you painted your new one.
Yeah, my new one that was painted like a soft baby powder pink. I painted that gray, like a lighter gray. It looks really good. But as far I don't have anything like that. You know, my downstairs booth is very dark compared to my upstairs booth. So I got 2 china cabinets, which I wish would sell soon, so I could put some more shelving in there. But they're lighted, so I make sure I keep the lights on. I do put items that are for sale inside the china cabinets too, and then I do have a vintage lamp that helps give me more light down there too. So I have that on, and then my upstairs booth. No, I just decorate it with what's for sale. Other than that, I don't add any extra stuff.
Hmm. And
So
I know for my lights, I don't know if you do this, Tiffany, but I actually bought like a timer. So then my lights, they come on as soon as the flea market opens, and then they go off whenever the flea market closes. So then I'm not burning out bulbs all the time and stuff like that. So
oh nice.
that was one thing we did.
There you go. No, I don't do that. The whoever's working, whether it's the owners or the employees, every morning they go around and they everyone usually has a power strip, so it must take them a good half an hour, 45 minutes. But they go around and they turn
Uh,
all the lights, and then at night they go around and turn them all off.
See, I was always afraid that my people, if they get distracted and before they can get up to where my booth is, they've done forgotten.
Mhm.
Like take the stress off of them, and that way I know I have my display the way I want it. So yes, Cool Ranch, there was green fog here just a second ago. Oh, she let a raunchy one. I don't know what that girl eats. But
I
my
was
goodness.
wondering what she was talking about.
Oh, they have like the worst ones, but they're also the quickest ones. Here and gone within a second. So now that we talked about aesthetics and how you do attract customers inside your booth or whatever it is that you have, um, yes, you can set your booth up, do all the changes, the fluffing, the decorating with props and lighting to draw people in, and hope that uh, the place that you're working out of, is doing advertising to draw people there to the actual place, the actual location. But they might not be advertising your stuff. My place luckily does, but it's not all the time. Whenever I'm strolling through their Facebook page, I'll see pictures from like my booth or my shelf or my case, but not every single place does that kind of thing. And then, of course, I'm not always featured, because there's, I don't know how many different vendors we have, but we have at least 100, if not more. Uh,
Mhm.
so my stuff might not get seen as much. And so some places are not very involved on social platforms. So you must take the charge in doing this.
Mhm.
So when you're up at your booth working, always be friendly as people come by. I mean, that should be a no nonsense type thing to think about. A smile goes a long ways. You might offer a deal just for them. I've had vendors do that to me, and it makes me feel pretty special when they're like, "Hey, do you want?" I had a lady give me a jar, and she's like, "No, honey, just go ahead and take it." And I'm like, "Are you sure you don't want anything for it?" And she goes, "No, just tell them up front that Georgia or whatever her name is said that you could have this, and I'll make sure they know too." I'm like, "Okay." Um, and then I've had, "Hey, if you buy this now, I'll give you 20% off." Okay, done.
Mhm.
Um, so just make sure that if you do that, if you offer a deal to somebody that's just walked into your booth, that you mark their stuff, or you go and tell the front, "Hey, so and so, this couple, whatever, is going to have this item. I'm giving them 20% off," or whatever it may be.
Mhm.
And then make sure the customer tells them that, "Hey, Scooter Renee said I could have blank amount off with this item."
Mhm.
And then I also put your business name in their head so that they're thinking about you as they say
Mhm.
it. So you want to make sure you build trust, make sure you're putting in quality items. You don't want people to be buying stuff and they get it home and it's broken, and it's not the same as like ours doesn't take any returns. So if they get it
Mhm.
home and it's broken, they're just stuck with it. So
Right.
If you sell something out of your booth, which I do a lot of, a lot of y'all have bought stuff from me as I just showed pictures of items in my booth. Make sure you get it delivered. Don't sit on it, for a week or two. Get it out, get it done. Um, Listen to your customers and ideas from the owner or even other vendors that they may have. There might be one there that's a winner for you. So you want to make sure you're listening to your, everybody. But you want your customers to know that you hear them. So if you overhear a customer or whatever and they say something about your booth, let them know that you're listening and, you might do whatever. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of an idea, but I'm not having one. So.
Constructive criticism.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Share your contact information. Just like Tiffany, I have business cards in my booth in case someone needs something. So they have my Facebook, they have my Instagram on there, my Poshmark, Galaxy, and even my signage in the booth has all my, not my like my phone number and stuff on that, but it's got my social platforms. And then on my business cards, it does have my phone number in case they want to call, because there might be something that they're looking for in particular, and they'll call you and say, "Hey, I'm looking for this," and then you can keep an eye out for it.
Well, not only that, I had a lady call me a few months ago saying, "Hey, I was just at the mall and I saw you sold a lot of jewelry, and I'm going out of business. There's another antique mall a few minutes down the road from me, and I'm going out of business, and I don't want to sell anymore. Did you want to buy my stuff?" And she had furniture and all kinds of stuff, but at the time, Jose and I couldn't afford anything to buy for the business, so I passed up on it. But you might get someone that walks in and go, "Oh, I have a bunch of this stuff. I wonder if this person wants to buy it from me because I don't want it anymore."
Right.
So you might find some good deals that way too, having your info out there.
Yep, definitely. Cool Ranch says, sorry if you've already covered this, but how much is your rent and size of the booth? So, Cool Ranch, my booth, I believe, is a 10 by 9 or a 10 by 10, and I pay $175 a month for it. And then I also have a shelf and a case. And so by the time I pay for all three, I'm in for $275.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, one other pointer, as you do more, so if you get a second booth or another shelf or whatever, I know my person, there's a booth next to me and they're planning for that person to move out upstairs. And when they do, I get the first grab at it because it's right next to my booth. And so she's like, "Hey, if you get that, instead of charging you $350, I'll only charge you $300,
Mm-hmm.
So you also want to be aware of that too. See if they have any type of discount if you do more than just a booth. And then Tiffany, how much did you say on your booth?
So I got 2 cases. Those were 150 each. My downstairs booth is, I think it's 125. It's kind of small. I don't know the exact measurements. I think
It
it's
doesn't
like,
look small.
no, it doesn't look small, but it's like, I don't know if it's like 8 by like 5 or something like that, or 8 by 6. And then my upstairs booth, I pay 150, and that one's huge. I don't know the measurements, but it's like probably like a 12 by 10 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and that kind of thing, Corinne, you're just going to have to look around and check out different places, think about the location of it, how far you're willing to drive, and how much foot traffic do they have coming in, how many, I even, again, back on the Conway one, I wanted to know what the outside traffic was, how many cars are coming by, because I want to know how many people are going to see that place.
Mm-hmm.
And so, those are just some things to keep in mind when you're looking. And that place, they were doing it by square foot. And I know I said this a while ago, but I don't know if Cool Ranch was here when I said that. But some places might do per square foot because then you can decide however big you want it. I felt like I was going to end up spending more by the time you count gas and the per square foot to have the same size that I have now that I'm only paying $175 for. So.
Mm-hmm.
Lori Hayes says, do you ever worry about items being stolen out of your antique booth? All the time. Unfortunately, it's going to happen. And,
Sorry. See, a lot of times, I know right now there's a couple small things missing, but not like small expensive. That's why I left them out. I really don't care too much, but they didn't get sold either. But someone might have been interested in buying it, so they grabbed it, they walked around this giant store, and at the end they said, oh, I don't want anymore, they tossed it in somebody else's booth. Now the chances of you finding that are going to be rough because it's huge and there's so much stuff. So you got to just hope and pray. Like I find stuff in my booth all the time, and I put it back where it goes. I go ask like, "Where's this booth?" And I go to it and I put it back. But a lot of the vendors only go like once a month. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then you don't know if they're all honest either. They could very easily take my tag off and put their own tag on.
Right.
You know. So, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't keep track. I'm not like Scooter. I don't know what the heck I had there. I really don't. So I'm sure I've already got stuff stolen.
I really have I've supposedly let go of keeping track as far as written it down and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I know what's in my booth. I know exactly where I placed everything because I will notice if it's gone. When I did the outdoor vendor event, I had a girl walk up and she's like, "Oh, I'll do this piano." Well, when you buy there, you just have to go inside because then you're hoping that they're going to shop inside and pay for it that way. Well, she went in and everything, and I saw her a little bit later. I had to go to the bathroom, and I was like, "Oh, you're still here?" And she goes, "Well, I'm waiting on my dad." I was like, "Oh, okay." Well, then when I went, because my flea market booth at the end of the day will post everything I sold for the day, and I love that feature. Um, so I was able to look, and the little piano trinket box was not on that list, and I was like, "Oh, she stole that item from me." And Robert's like, "You don't know that," and I'm like, he said she could have just set it down somewhere because she changed her mind and didn't want to get it or whatever. And so I went by the next day and I was like, "Hey, did anybody turn this in? You know, da 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 da." No, no, no. Well, probably about a week later or two, I finally saw it sitting up front. I was like, "Hey, I think that's my piano trinket box. Can I have it so I go put it back?" And then I thought someone had taken, for those that were here last night, that real pretty copper cross set with the earrings. I thought someone had taken that pendant, and I was livid. Like I literally thought someone took it. And I told Robert, I said, "Well, I guess somebody needs Christ more than I do, you know." So I had looked, I don't know how many times in the box. I emptied it, put it back in, emptied it, put it back in. Can't find it, nowhere to be seen. And it was like the next day in the afternoon that I was like, "Oh, there it is." And Robert's like, "I guess nobody stole your stuff, huh?" It has happened. My place is really good with their cameras. They just recently posted someone stealing one of the rings up there, so their face is plastered all over Facebook. So I do like that they're not scared to call people out if they do steal, but it will happen. So
yeah, same over at my place too. They put their picture on Facebook, put it on the front door, and like to make sure you know who other people are. You know.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So social media, I cannot express this enough. Talk about your booth, talk about your business, be on Facebook, get involved with Instagram if you feel like you can handle that. I know that's a different thing from Facebook and everything, but you can figure it out. YouTube, email, etc. Whatever you use, get the word out there. I've gotten a lot of customers this way, and I've also got people to reach out to me because they are wanting to get rid of stuff, and they think it's like the stuff I sell already because they've seen my advertisement and everything. They're like, "Oh, hey, I was going to have a yard sale this weekend. I just had this happen last weekend. Hey, I was going to have a yard sale this weekend. Do you want to come and look and see what I have? I think I have some things that you would like to sell in your booth." And sure enough, she did. So I got it for next to nothing for what all I picked out. So that happened. And then I take photos when I do something new at my booth. So if I get, or new at my location. So when I got that case, I took a picture of my case that day. It was like, "Hey, new case going in. You know, here's some items I have." Or I take photos of new items whenever I put new items in there, or I've done a item of the day that are items in my booth as well. And I sell a lot of stuff that way. And guess what? It's full profit to me and no fees. So I don't have to pay the flea marketplace their 7% fee because I go in, pick it up, and then I ship it myself. So, so I don't have to pay that to the flea market. So there's another way of gaining business. It's, not just having people come in. So Keep your business in front of people's faces. If you're going to run this like a business, you need to treat it like a business. If you run it as a hobby or just, something fun, it's a totally different story. But if you're running a business, you want to keep that business in front of the people's faces at all times so they think of you when they need or when they're looking for something or have stuff to give you. You want to make sure that they go, hey, Skidder Renee's doing this, or hey, I saw this in your booth. I need that. So
Mhm.
you always want to make sure you're keeping your name out there in front of everybody. You got anything you want to add to that, Tiffany?
No.
Cool Ranch says when you have a locked case and you're not there, does the mall open it for customers? Mine do. I
Mhm.
I have the case that's theirs that I rent, but then I also have other cases that are mine that I have locked. I have keys to those cases and I have them numbered, and then they have keys. Y'all know how I am in organizing. They have keys, and their keys have the same number to match that case and everything, so they're not sitting there trying to figure out what key fits the daggone lock. And so mine will do it, and I think for you too, right, Tiff?
Yep. They have all the keys up at the front, and the people ask, I need booth case 845, and they'll go ask the front desk, and then they do it.
And most of the time, they will walk to that case, and whatever that person picks out, they walk it back to the front. So
Hmm.
they can't just, walk around with it in
Right.
some cases. I have had a place or two, maybe at most, that's allowed me to let me walk around with that stuff in my cart or whatever.
Hmm.
And then I can only think of my place allowing me one time, and it's because Robert looked like somebody, one of the workers there. She just gave the key to him, and I was able to have free range to whatever I want to look at in that case and everything. So she's like, I'm so glad I can trust y'all. So now we'll do Q&A. Are there any burning questions or comments? Y'all been so good about asking questions throughout. Is there anything else that y'all can think of that we haven't covered that you want us to talk about? Or Tiffany, do you have anything that we haven't covered that
Not that I
you
can
want to
think
add?
of right now. No, it's a lot of fun. Like, I mean, yeah, if you treat it like a business, I mean, I try to make it down there at least 2, 3 times a week to add more stuff. Because the more stuff that's there, the more chances of you selling something, and keep a variety of items if you can. So that
Mhm.
way it attracts different folks, different priced items, so it attracts different budgets as well. Um, but just work it. Just keep on bringing stuff and organizing and rearranging and such and such.
Right. So Lori Hayes says, do you prefer selling in an antique booth on a live stream like this or on eBay?
For me, For me, eBay and Poshmark is my least favorite because I feel like it's the most work. You gotta take the pictures and then you gotta store it and the descriptions, and then when you sell it, you gotta hopefully you don't want to return, yada yada. But the live stream and the antique booth, I love it.
Yeah.
Live stream is easy. You bring your items up and they sell in seconds, so that's why generally it's a much cheaper price than what you're going to get at the booth. Because at the booth you got to pay your rent, you got to price the items, you got to tag the items, you got to, there's a lot more that goes into it, but it's also fun too.
You
So
don't have to ship either.
you don't have to ship it either. Exactly. So the antique booth and the live streams are my favorite. eBay, Poshmark,
Yes.
stuff like that is definitely on the bottom. But so as you can tell, if you look at my stores, I have my business card, but there's like hardly anything in my stores because I sell so much here and at the booth, and I don't know. But
Right. I would
but
totally 100% agree with that. That's exactly how I feel. I would rather
mm,
bring it to y'all live or put it in my booth for the most part. So,
mm,
do owners pay you out once a week or once a month? Excellent question, Cool Ranch.
mm,
Mine does it once a month. So I get paid on the first of every month, and my rent's due on the first of the month, but I get a check and then I write them a check. At times, I wish they would go ahead and just take out my rent out of that earnings. That way, I don't have to worry about turning around and writing them a check. But then it's kind of like I'm refunding myself for what I just had to write, and then have some extra too. So I don't know. Tiffany, what is yours like?
Mine, I get paid on the first of every month, and they automatically take like here's one right here. So every month I'll get one of these, and I don't remember what month this is for, but oh, this was 2 months ago. It was like my second month, so I made 1,065 and then they took out $625 for rent, so I got $440 for a check. So there's that.
Yeah, I like that, but you know.
And then every month, all my stuff that I sold, they give me all my tickets, so I can go through and see what I sold, and then they have all the days of the month, and they'll tell you. It doesn't tell you what you sold on here, but it will tell you how much you sold that day. So if it's blank, you didn't sell nothing. But there's that. So that's how we get paid.
Yep.
And like,
look and see.
So that was a slow month, and then this was last month. So it was like, okay, that's not bad. So I'm trying to bring that up because my rent is so high. I pay $625. I'd like to at least bring home after rent at least $1,500. So I'm working on that.
And then I don't know if Tiffany has this, but at my booth, I will have to pay like an annual fee of $15, $5, $15, something like that, because Arkansas is so weird. They want to charge tax to the owner of the place for selling our items that we already pay a sales tax on, or something like that, the license fee, something like that. And so to kind of help with that cost, she'll have vendors, as many vendors that will pay that annual fee. So then it kind of helps absorb that cost, and she doesn't have to raise rent or anything like that to cover the cost. And then mine, what they do is they just give me an itemized list like this. And like I said, every day I can log in to an account and small info, and I can go in there and I can see what I've sold that day, if anything. And then at the end of the month, I'll have an itemized list, but I've already pretty much know how much I've sold, what my check should be and all that kind of stuff. So Tiffany's place doesn't have the internet access. So I like that aspect of mine, is I'm able to check it every day, and I don't have to drive up there and look for tickets or anything like that. And then the place in Conway again, the part that really excited me is theirs was real time. Like if somebody bought something right this second, you're going to see it right this second. If you log in, you're going to see what somebody bought. No telling how much. And that's probably why the rent's a lot higher, is because those systems are not cheap. I think my place, the owner said that she spends about $3,000 a month just to have the software there. So,
Wow.
it's not cheap for that software that they have. So, Uncle Sam's always got to have his chunk. You said it, Cool Ranch.
Yep.
All right. Anything else before we get off here? We're almost at that 1 hour mark. And like I said, I like to keep these shows at an hour, unless we're having a good time, like when Robert was on here and we couldn't shut up. So, All right. Well, thank you for spending time with us tonight. Scooter, do you use barcodes? Good question. I didn't give enough time to go by, did I? I do not. I do have a stamp that I stamp on my tags, and it's got vendor number, and then it's got description, and then what my price is. That's about the only bit of information that they need, so they can type it in for you and let you know what you sold and everything.
Here's an example.
Do you use barcodes on yours?
No, this is what my tags look like.
Yes.
There we go. So that's what they look like. You just write on them, put your price.
Mine looks just like Tiffany, except I bought a stamp just to stamp on it, so then I don't have to sit there and write vendor number. Or, like, I want to make sure that they know what my vendor number is, so I want it well notated on there. So I got the stamp, and I don't know why I put a description, because they never put the exact description down, so I'm always guessing what it is that I sold, and then my price. So,
yeah.
Lori Hayes says, would you be allowed to put your own camera in your own antique booth? Like, say you bought a Ring camera, could you put that up in your booth, or are you only allowed to use these stores that stores theft deterrent?
For mine, if you wanted to put your own, you could. They wouldn't mind. I got, but I can't talk. Hi. They're starting to put cameras everywhere, so they do have a lot of cameras covering a lot of areas. But my downstairs booth, it does have a blind spot. I notice. I find a lot of stuff that gets dropped off there, or they don't look complete anymore. Like people will go into my booth and they'll kind of hide and they must do something. So I'll bring this stuff up to the front desk. I'm like, hey, I found this in my booth. I don't know whose it is. If it's missing, I don't know, but here you go. But so yeah, if you do have a blind spot in your booth, you could totally put your own camera if you wanted to.
Yeah, same with mine. We can put our own up. I had a basket of stuff that was placed under. I have a table right now, and that's another reason why I want to get rid of it. Put the shelving up that I just bought. But someone put a basket underneath my table, and it had like brand new perfumes in it, and like all of this different stuff, jewelry and stuff like that. And so Robert took it downstairs, and I was like, make sure they know that that was under my table, that I was not storing that stuff or anything like that, you know. And then plus, you know, people might be missing out on deals. You know, if that stayed under my table too long, well, someone would have missed out on, you know, making a sale. So you can put your camera in those places if you want to. So just make sure it's okay with the owners at the place that you're renting from. So a lot of these places, they're pretty flexible on what you do. You can hang stuff up, you can, you know, paint your booth, you can make it your own and everything. So I do like that aspect of it. So Cool Ranch said, okay, still the old fashioned way. Yes, and also with mine, they said instead of putting a description in, I do item numbers, and then that way all they do is type in the item number. So if I wanted to label my stuff with the item number instead of saying what it is, you can certainly do that. Or you probably could put like one of those small square barcodes. You could probably put it there, and they would just type it in for you. So I think you probably can. They just won't scan it. So you know. Nope, Lori Hayes, I'll always love having you here. You and Cool Ranch both always have the best questions. And so you are saying things that other people might be thinking but don't want to type it in. So never be sorry about asking so many questions.
Can you put that down for a minute? Can you say hi to everybody? Come here.
Hi. Mama.
Cute. All right, guys. Anything else?
Hi.
Hi. How do you label watches? Me, I use the same tags as Tiffany, and then I just put the string through and make sure I knot it on there. So then, but I put it in an area to where they can still try the watch on if they want to or whatever. So I hope that answers your question, Cool Ranch. I'm sure that's what Tiffany does too.
No, Can you say hi, Lori? Hi, Cool Ranch.
Hi. Yeah.
Can you say hi, Scooter?
Hi, Sarah.
Yeah.
No.
I love it when he says my name. Not too late. You already said it.
Ew.
Yeah. I see that.
All right, guys. Thank you for spending time with us tonight. I hope you got something out of it, learned something new. As always, if you have questions later, put it down in comment or send us a message. We'll be more than happy to answer it.
Wow.
Again, make sure you do the YouTube things by doing a thumbs up. Subscribe to both of us and ring the bell to get all the notifications. And leave a comment down below after the show and let me know what you thought of this topic. Let's see. Next Monday Motivation is going to be on Galaxy. So if you want to know more about that platform, I will discuss Galaxy next Monday. So if you're interested in learning what that's about, come back next Monday for that. Again, that will be at, I have 9 p.m. Central. What do y'all like? Do y'all like the 8 p.m. Central or 9 p.m. Central? Because I'm starting to kind of dig this 8 p.m. Central. I get done a lot sooner and all that kind of stuff. So just let me know. Send me a message, whatever. Tomorrow night will be on my channel for anything auction at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. So you don't want to miss that. And I think that's it. Cool Ranch likes 8 p.m. Central. Okay, I'm going to change that because I like it too. I get it done a lot sooner and I can have.
Do you guys like the later auctions too? The 8 p.m. No, that doesn't make sense.
Wait, what?
No. 8 p.m. Central. I got confused. So 7 p.m. my time. Okay.
Yeah,
so
7 p.m. your time and 8 my time.
Don't touch it.
All right. Whatever works for you is perfect. All right. I kind of like the 8. So I'll probably change all that to the 8. The only time that we go late is on the weekends because we get to sleep in the next day. We don't have to. I don't have to be at work the next morning. Tiffany doesn't have to get up with Daniel early in the morning or anything. So that's the only time we'll be on late. It's on the weekends. So, all right, guys. Thank you, everyone, for coming and supporting us tonight. And hopefully we'll see you tomorrow night.
You did. I know. I gotta do some more of those Cool Ranch. My late nights.
Ah,
Remember I did that a little bit?
yeah, yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, it's kind of a give and take. If I can get a nap in when I get home from work, I can stay up late. But if I don't get a nap in, I'm struggling.
Right.
And I'm not either, Lori. I'm not a morning person at all. So I have to be at work at 8:30. I'm usually getting up by 7:30. So. All right, guys. Y'all have a great night, and we will see you hopefully tomorrow night.
See you guys. Peace. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, let's do this thing.